Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elise. If you're new here, welcome. Today I am making two Valentine's Day cards with the Love You combo from Waffle Flower Crafts. I wanted to show how you could make two cards that look totally different from each other using the same combo set. So if you want to see how I made the cards that are on the screen right now, keep watching and I'll show you how. Okay, so here is the set, the big Love You, which is perfectly sized to basically fill up an A2 size card front, and I have the matching dies. So that is an A2 size panel, and I wanted to show you that die on the top so that you could see just how large it really was. Now, I have some of these A2 panels from Waffle Flower, and I am going to cut out a piece to have like a little border for the Love You to sit on. And so I'm just playing around with these rectangles, trying to determine which one is going to be the right size, because I want the Love You to kind of hang over the edge, but not totally over the edge. I feel like it's a fine line. So just trying to find the one that would be the best. And I settle on that one. So now I have some inks from Waffle Flower Crafts in Tickled Pink, Safe Choice, and Happy Go Lucky. So it's like a pink, kind of a pinky purple, and then a purple. I am using some blender brushes. These are the Picket Fence Studio blender brushes to get a little bit of ink blending gradient on the piece that will be the background piece. One of the reasons why I like blender brushes so much is that the color becomes very subtle and soft. I find with a foam, like the Tim Holtz Ranger foam tools, sometimes it's a little bit too saturated, and sometimes I want that kind of pastel look, which is what I wanted for this background. Now, this will sit behind the white panel and kind of frame that white panel. And it is the same gradient that the stamping will be in. So you'll see that in a second. So laying down that Safe Choice and then going in with Happy Go Lucky, which is that real purple toned ink. I love the Waffle Flower inks. They stamp great. They blend amazingly. These are some of my favorite dye inks, and the colors are really fun. I'll have those linked down below, and all of the products that I'm using today, all linked down below. So just going back and forth between those colors, really trying to make a smooth blend. By the way, this is very much sped up. I cannot blend this quickly. This is sped up. I really thought that middle color needed a little bit more pop. So I went back with it, and then once the middle color was a little bit darker, I thought that top, that Tickled Pink, also needed to be a little bit darker. So, like I said, just going back and forth, blending, making sure all the colors blend, and wiping off my ink blending brush in between so that the colors don't transfer. I should also point out that I am blending on a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock from Strathmore. And I prefer to blend on Bristol Smooth. I know some people like to blend on Nina, but I prefer to blend on Bristol Smooth. One of the other reasons why I like to is because a quarter sheet of Bristol Smooth is actually 6 by 4.5. So you can die cut out using that biggest panel from the A2 and get a nice cut. Okay, now I'm going in and doing the stamping, and this is where I am doing a little bit of an ombre look using those exact same colors in the exact same order. So going in with the Tickled Pink, I stamp the top, stamp the middle bit in that Safe Choice, and I want these to overlap so that it blends nicely. I'm just using that cloth to apply a little bit of even pressure. That color needed a second inking. This is a very big stamp, and it's also new. So sometimes it doesn't stamp out perfectly the first time. And then going in with that Happy Go Lucky at the bottom to kind of get the bottom of the U and that big long swirl of the Y. Is there a name for that? I'm sure that there is. Someone, grammar expert out there, penmanship expert, will let me know what that is. Okay, so now I've got that piece all done, and now I need to die cut it. So What basically the die fits on the stamped image perfectly. So I've made myself a little cheat sheet template so that I can cut it out perfectly. So I've cut that Love You die out of just a piece of white cardstock, lining that up over the top, and then I will put on the die so that when it runs through perfectly, and I don't cut off any of my stamping. Know this from experience because the first time that I did this, I did not use the guide and I messed it up. So use the guide if you're going to do this. So here is my die cut, and here is that little blended piece. You can kind of see how those colors all match. I am then going to take that white panel that I die cut, pop it up with some foam tape, just adding that to the back. I'll cover basically the entire back with this foam tape. I'm pretty generous. And then once I've got all that tape on, I will put it up onto the blended piece. Get that centered down. And then I will take that Love You, add some little slivers of foam tape to it, and pop it up onto that white panel. Just getting that placed where I want it and pressing it down. I felt like it needed a little bit of something, so I got some, these are just clear mix sequins, so just clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh in a variety of sizes. And I'm just adding those onto my card front. Adding a little bit of interest. Then I decided I wanted some more something on this, and so I covered the die cut in Tonic Nouveau Glaze. This is a product much like Glossy Accents, though I think that this comes out of the bottle a lot easier than Glossy Accents, so it's what I prefer. I don't necessarily think that it is as thick as Glossy Accents is, but I just covered that die cut with it. And then in the end, when it dries, it's like I have a glossy embellishment. So that is the first card. Now moving on to the second card. I am going to do some die cut inlay. So I've got this Love You die on an A2 size panel, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I am just going to run that through my die cut machine. The panel is Nina Classic Crest Solar White 110 pound. Of course, I also have that link down below for you. I buy it in a ream. I think that's the most economical. So just going to run that through my die cut machine. My very loved plate. I really need a new one for my Gemini Junior. So just going to go ahead and run that through my machine, which sits just off camera. And then I am going to pop out that word. And it's got a lot of little inside pieces to it. But I need to keep those to do the inlay. So now I've got a piece of literally copy paper, went over to my printer and got it, and some Stick It adhesive. And I am going to be peeling off that adhesive, putting on my copy paper, and then there'll be adhesive on that will get stuck to the front of the copy paper so that I can put these strips on the paper. I love this technique when you've got little paper scraps and you want to use them up to just start. I mean, I literally cut these at all random sizes, no rhyme or reason. I'm laying them down, no rhyme or reason, except for that. I find that if you lay them on an angle, no one will notice if they're straight or not, because left to my own devices, I put down nothing straight. So this way, once the Love You is die cut out of this, you really can't tell. It's also really easy to butt up your strips right up against each other. You don't get a gap. And here I am, I'm just going and putting down no order, no rhyme or reason, just randomly placing these down. So I've got various different pinks and purples. A lot of these, actually all of these, except for that purpley blue that is closest to the bottom of the screen. All the rest are from Gina K. That purpley blue is from Simon Says Stamp, and it's the blue violet color, I believe. So I am just laying these down, covering the space, adding in random strips here and there, and making sure everything's stuck down well. And then once I have all of these laid down, I will take that Love You and die cut again out of these strips. So that is what I will inlay into my die cut. So obviously I made a lot, but now I have all these extra strips and I can make more cards now. And now I have all these little cardstock dusts all over. I really need to get a new blade trimmer, clearly. So now I am just going to assemble this card. I've got my folded card base, which I am just sticking down with some purple tape. And I've got that Love You there that I am going to just tape down. You could also do this with liquid glue. As you can see, I've covered the entire front of my card base because that way I can just stick in that Love You and we're all set and ready to go. So in a second, this is where all those little pieces to the side are going to come into play because I need to pop those back in so that we don't have any gaps. This just makes it look really clean and finished, even though that those little glue dots, I'm pretty sure that they would dry white, so you wouldn't be able to see them. But this just makes your card look finished and professional, and it's worth taking the little 30 seconds it took me to do this. So just popping in those little O's. And then the only piece left is the little space in the E. And this card is so nice because it is flat. It is going to be really easy to mail. And it really did not take long to make. And you could make a big piece of that kind of strip look and add those in. The only thing that I'm going to pop up, and you don't need to do this, you could leave it just like this, is a sentiment strip from using a stamp from the stamp set. So it's just a little black piece of cardstock that I've heat embossed white. And it says so much because that is something that my husband and I say to each other a lot. So I really liked that this stamp set had that sentiment in it. And that is the second card. Those are the cards for today. Please subscribe if you want to see more from me. And I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.